Lesson 7, topic, absolute value inequalities. Learning target, I can solve and graph absolute value inequalities. First off, vocabulary, we have absolute value. That's our distance from 0. Distance is always a positive value. You can travel positive values, you can't travel negative values. So when we have the absolute value of 5, we count the jumps from 0 to 5, which is 5. Then we have the absolute value of negative 5, so we count the jumps to negative 5, which is also 5 jumps. So we're going to take what we did with absolute value equations, and we are going to just add an inequality symbol. So we have the absolute value of x plus 2 is less than 8. So I know that the absolute value of 8 is equal to 8, and the absolute value of negative 8 is also equal to 8, which means what's inside the parentheses, that x plus 2 has to be equal to either positive 8 or has to be equal to negative 8. However, as I said, we're going to replace those equal signs. So we're not putting equal signs there. If you notice, I didn't even put them there, with our inequality signs. So for the positive version, we're going to keep the inequality sign the same as it is in the problem. So your first equation is really just rewrite it without the absolute value bars. But then when we do the negative case, we're going to flip the inequality. So instead of less than, I'm going to put greater than. And now we have two inequalities that we can solve. So we're going to solve this by undoing plus 2 with minus 2 on both sides. We get x is less than 8 take away 2 is 6. So one of my solutions is x is less than 6. And now I'm going to solve the other one. Do the same process, undo plus 2 with minus 2 on both sides. We get x is greater than negative 8 take away 2 is negative 10. So x could be greater than negative 10. So now when we graph these, sometimes you're not going to have enough bars to go all the way. So I just like to start with my smallest number on the left. So I'm going to put negative 10 here. And then my biggest number on the right, I'm going to put 6 here. And then I know that 0 is going to be somewhere in the middle there. So you can kind of rearrange it however you like. You can add more tick marks if you like, but that's enough for what we need. Okay, so I know it's going to be less than 6, which means open circle at 6, and I'm going to shade towards 0 because 0 is less than 6. But then we also have the other side of it. We have x is greater than negative 10. Well, greater than, open circle, because it's not equal to. And I'm going to shade towards 0 and 6 because 0 and 6 are both greater than 10. So as you can see, we have two circles and the line is meeting in the middle. So that's an and compound inequality. It's between. So that's another step we're going to have to add into our inequality version, is it's going to be a compound inequality. And remember, compound inequalities are joined by an and or an or. So in this case, it's an and because it's between. Some of them might be an or. So let's try another example. We have the absolute value of negative 2x minus 3 is greater than 7. So the first one, that positive version, you're just going to write out the original without the absolute value bars. And then we're going to write the negative one, negative 2x minus 3, pause. We have greater than in our original, so we're going to flip it to less than. And then not a positive 7, but a negative 7. So we always have the positive case and the negative case. All right, the next step is we're going to solve this equation. We're going to undo minus 3 with plus 3 on both sides. 7 plus 3 is 10. We have negative 2x is greater than 10. Next up, we're going to undo that multiplication with division. We're going to divide by negative 2. We get x is, we're dividing by a negative, which means we're going to flip that inequality sign. So x is less than 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So one of my solutions is x is less than negative 5. I would like you to solve this second inequality. Check your answer in Edpuzzle, and then we'll talk about how to graph it. So for your answer, you should have gotten x is greater than 2. You can see the solving steps there. If you got it wrong, you can kind of check out where you might have made your mistake. So now let's graph those. I'm going to put my big number on the right. We've got 2. My smaller number, negative 5, on the left. 0 will be kind of in the middle there, closer to 2 though. And now we have to figure out how to shade this. So x is less than negative 5. Less than, open circle, at negative 5. Less than, I'm going to shade away from 0 and 2 because those are greater than negative 5. I went over here, far away. X is greater than 2. Greater than means open circle. And I'm going to shade to the right of 2 because 0 and negative 5 are both less than 2, so I don't want to shade on that side. I want to shade over here. So if we look at this graph, it's split. So it's not an and inequality, it's an or. So we're going to put the word or in the circle in the middle. So x is less than negative 5 or x is greater than 2. All right, last example. We have 2x, the absolute value of 2x plus 5, which is outside the absolute value bar, is less than or equal to 19. So if you notice, I didn't put it in this box because it's not ready to go in this box because it's not ready to be split into our positive and our negative case. Because if you notice, we don't have just the absolute value bar on one side of our equation, or our inequality, excuse me. So if you look, we have the absolute value of 2x plus 5 is outside of the absolute value bar, which means we have to get rid of that first before we split it up into two cases. So I'm going to undo minus 5 on both sides first. 5 take away 5 is nothing. We're still left with the absolute value of 2x. The less than or equal to sign stays. 19 take away 5 is 14. Now it's ready to go in the box because you can't split it into two cases until we have only the absolute value bars on the left. We haven't had any issues with this since we haven't been presented with this problem, but this is how we would set this up for success. So we have the absolute value of 2x is less than or equal to 14. And now we can split off into our two cases. We have 2x is less than or equal to positive 14. 2x is greater than or equal to, we're going to flip it, keep the equal to piece, but instead of less than, it's going to be greater than. And then negative 14. I want you to try solving this one on your own. Try solving and graphing it. And then if you have questions, call me over, let me know, and we'll chat.